In the remote village of Greyhaven, a peculiar legend circulated about the old lighthouse on the cliff. It was said that if you saw its lantern glowing at night, it meant someone in the village was about to die. Sarah, a skeptical journalist, arrived in Greyhaven to debunk this myth. She had heard the tale during her research on urban legends and was determined to get to the bottom of it. Despite the villagers' warnings, she decided to spend the night in the lighthouse. The lighthouse had been out of commission for years, its once proud beam now nothing more than a relic of the past. Sarah entered the building, her flashlight cutting through the thick layers of dust and cobwebs. She set up her equipment and prepared for a long night of observation. As night fell, a dense fog rolled in from the sea, enveloping the village in an eerie stillness. Sarah settled in for the evening, her eyes frequently darting to the window, half expecting to see the legendary light. Around midnight, Sarah heard a soft, rhythmic clinking sound coming from above. She glanced at her equipment, but everything seemed normal. The clinking grew louder, and she decided to investigate. Climbing the spiral staircase, her footsteps echoed through the empty lighthouse. When she reached the top, Sarah was startled to find the lantern lit, its flame flickering softly. She approached it cautiously, her flashlight revealing no one else in the room. The lantern's light seemed oddly warm, casting long, distorted shadows on the walls. Suddenly, Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as she heard the clinking sound again, closer this time. She turned to see an old, faded photograph pinned to the wall. It showed the lighthouse keeper and his family, their faces ghostly pale. Without warning, the lantern's flame intensified, casting a blinding light that swallowed the room. Sarah shielded her eyes, and when she dared to look again, the photograph had changed. The faces in it now looked like those of the villagers she had met earlier, pale and frightened. Panic set in as the lantern's light grew unbearable. Shadows danced around the room, and the temperature plummeted. Sarah's breath came in visible puffs, and she could hear the distant sound of waves crashing against the cliff, growing louder and more violent. Desperate to escape, Sarah stumbled down the stairs, but the fog outside had thickened, obscuring any familiar landmarks. She felt as though she were walking in circles, each turn bringing her back to the lighthouse. In her panic, she looked back at the building. The lantern's light had faded, and the lighthouse stood in ominous darkness once more. Exhausted and disoriented, Sarah finally found her way back to the village, only to be greeted by an unsettling silence. The next morning, the villagers gathered at the edge of the cliff, where a tragic scene awaited them. One of their own had been found dead at the shore, a victim of the night storm. Sarah, now a believer in the legend she had sought to disprove, left Greyhaven with a heavy heart. The villagers whispered of her arrival and departure, and though the lighthouse remained dark, the tale of the lantern's glow lived on. The villagers knew that the light was more than just a beacon. It was a harbinger of fate, forever casting its glow on those who dared to challenge the unknown.